lot is going on in the world, and we'll be talking about that here on Pod TV and see what folks have to say about a number of these news stories. As you can see, it is raining here in Durham, North Carolina, and all along those lines, thunderstorms are likely to continue over the next several hours. And the brother of Donald Trump's former director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has been arrested after allegedly attempting to lure children to a hotel room. And some Democrats helped GOP pass a voter ID bill as others call it a trick. And the black owned Carolina's Bank is the merger largest in U.S. history. So definitely this is something to do with the M&F, mechanics and farmers, and all along those lines. And Durham is about to tap into 1 billion gallons of emergency water as the drought continues, despite the fact that it's raining today. Tension between the Mullen and the White House appears to be growing, according to what some sources are saying. And a family of seven ordered $300 worth of food at an Orlando diner. Then surveillance footage showed them leaving one by one without paying. So that's something that's going on as well. And what the NBA Summer League showed us about AJ Dabouncy, Yaxel, and other players. And Crystal Nolan says TWD star Samantha Morton did something that is definitely being talked about as well. So definitely a lot going on in that space. And Netflix is unveiling its first look at a different world sequel. So we're seeing that in the news as well. I'm going to bring Steve in. Steve's going to give his monologue, and I'm going to let him do that. And then I'm actually waiting to get to Hey Time. But Steve, how are you doing as I wait for my ride and other people to come in as well? But I'll pull off the screen and let you have your monologue time.
Thank you, Mark. And I'm having some issues with my camera on my StreamYard link, so we're just gonna have to do this today from my home office. Welcome to World Edition. This is Steve Rao. I will be, coming back frequently to do monologues, and I just wanted a chance to say hello to everybody. This week, we want to welcome you to World Edition, where we bring you state of the world issues, what's going on in our world, and your input and your feedback, which is very important to us. This week and over the last few weeks, we continue to see global spotlight remaining on the Middle East. Oil prices and energy prices continue to go up everywhere around the world, especially in the United States. And it's just an example of how conflicts thousands of miles away can affect our economy, which I think will affect the midterm elections coming up very soon after we get through the summer, and also the presidential elections of 28, which is still a long time away, but a very interesting thing to talk about. Around the world, investors are looking at the global economy with all eyes on whether things are going to get better for all of us. The other issue that we often talk about is artificial intelligence, and we see this disrupting industries across the board, particularly jobs being lost at a rampant rate. We just don't know whether the jobs are going to be replaced. The data centers is a big issue. We're starting to see this all over in terms of energy and its impact on data centers. And we're even seeing this in Mark and on our home state of North Carolina. And then climate is another defining global issue. Scientists continue to warn that increasing weather patterns and storms and all these things are strengthening El Nino conditions. And the more storms you have, the more prepared you have to be. And if a storm hits in North Carolina, $70 to $80 billion worth of damage in the western part of our state. And our governor, Josh Stein, has pretty much been spending a lot of his time in western North Carolina. He's almost been the governor now for 2 years come this January. Hard to believe that we're still dealing with Hurricane Helene and the aftermath. I could go on and on, but at the end of the day, there's just a lot of issues to discuss. I'm going to be here for a few minutes today because I got to head out, but I will be trying to open these up with Mark Moore, getting back on bringing some guests, and we're very excited to become a part of the Fox News Network. So hopefully you'll be seeing us on Fox once I can clean up and get into a better studio. But yeah, that was kind of a high level of what I'm seeing out there, Mark.
I appreciate it. I did see that a Louisiana representative decided to step down. I think he's going to run for state office because of some of the gerrymandering that was going on in that area. And I'm sure that Rick will have some soy ideas as well, and all along those lines. Like I said, I'm waiting to get my ride to get to Haytown. I'll be doing the rest of the story or the rest of the show from there. As a matter of fact, I think this is the first thing coming now. But definitely just share a little bit about what you've got going on Rick. And like I said, I'll be joining y'all from the center
Mostly,
once I get there.
mostly we have heat. Today it's going to hit 106.
I can't hear you, Mark.
LA's going to hit 106 to 108, and we're going to have temperatures like that for the next week, and it's going to be brutal. And I got to say, if you're a senior or if you're anybody, don't sleep on this. Take precautions. Don't get overheated. I've found I just turned 66, and I found my resistance to getting overheated has declined as I hit my Medicare years. And I was having a bunch of symptoms like, what the hell is going on with me? I was just getting over headaches, and I couldn't get a boner, and just like a bunch of stuff that was surprising that I traced all back to my body being unable to deal with extreme heat. And that's what we got in LA for the next week. Temperatures well over 100 degrees. So stay safe, stay hydrated. If you don't have air conditioning, because this is not the only part of the country where people, you were just talking about El Nino stuff. Like the whole country has a bunch of hot spots, and get your ass to someplace. Most cities, if you can't afford air conditioning, most cities, when it gets this hot, set up shelters where you can go and get cool.
And the one thing exactly, and I lost my audio, but the thing I forgot to close out on, but I'll try to open up tomorrow on the monologue as we end the week, is we have all this You're right. I mean, it's so hot, and the thought also came to my mind of how this is affecting sports and athletes. We're seeing in tennis now this is becoming a real problem with, scorching temperatures in France, which forced eventually Sinner to drop out of Roland Garros. The matches are longer. People are particularly in tennis industry, there's been a lot of talk about shortening the season. Are you going to see more injuries? But speaking of sports, one thing we're proud of is how sports have unified our world. So just on the heels of the World Cup, Wimbledon, basketball, baseball, I mean, it's fun to see us all come together. I tell you, the World Cup was really something. I just such great soccer. So maybe more sports, but I tell you, it's getting hot out there.
Well, even the World Cup had to change to address the heat, where they had to do a hydration break halfway through each period. And we've got the Olympics in LA 2 years from now. At this time of year, I would, if they were smart, they would move them to May, or I don't know what the hell they're going to do. If it's 104 for the Olympics, that's bad for athletes.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been, I trained as a former All-American tennis player. I'm still training a lot. And, the fact that I'm able to get out there and train in the heat, run stairs, even though I turned 56 yesterday, I see that the younger kids they can't take the heat. So, I mean, they're hitting the ball half my hard, but you get into 104 degree heat. I actually like it because if I can stay out there for 30 to 40 minutes, I got a half a chance to win the damn match. And I've won my last 3 matches against guys that were old enough to be my children, and they can't hang with the old man, because after about 40 minutes.
That's an interesting new strategy, which if you can take the heat, bring your enemies out there into it and have them just keel over.
Yeah, and I've had the last 2 matches, 25-year-olds cramping, and expected 2 shots, which I Raz and Sinner. I pull up back, 104 degree heat, and I tell you what,
So Nick just checked in with us from.
I have. I don't know if you can hear me, but I have a solution to your problems. Matter of fact, I'm going to solve the heat problem in the next couple of days. I'm going to Scotland. There you go. You want to see what the weather is in Scotland?
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. Well, yeah, I bet you it's probably no more than 70 degrees.
Yeah. So the thing is, the answer to the problem, I thought about this long and hard, is to go up north where it's cooler. And the thing is, in Scotland, it very seldom goes over 70 degrees during the
Right
winter.
now, it's exactly 70 degrees in Edinburgh
Exactly.
at
Exactly.
4 p.m. So
Right. Yeah. And I might end up buying a place there. I'm looking for a place to buy. So I have a summer residence up there. And this way,
Nick, what are you trying to do? Just buy every place everywhere? Because I'm just convinced you're trying to have a place in like 50 or 60 of the states in the world
I
or
used to
country.
have, I used to have 4 homes, so I would travel to all these different places, but I've calmed down in my younger, more halcyon days. So the thing is, I don't do that anymore. But I might have 3, and one would be in Scotland, one would be in Barcelona, the other one would be somewhere in the United States. And the problem with the U.S. is your housing prices are too high. I mean, it's like you can
yeah,
rent.
but the plus is that if you already have a house in the U.S., you can sell it and buy maybe couple houses in places where it's cheaper.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, in other words, you could move and go somewhere else. But the thing is, the real estate market in the United States is actually pretty high, and in some places it's outrageous, like where you're at, Rick. I mean, LA is incredible.
Yeah,
New
LA
York,
runs about $1,000 a square foot.
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's outrageous. So if young people are having a hard time buying houses, it's because they can't. In other words, it's in many markets, like where our office is in Salt Lake. My business partner says, "Hey, go buy a place." I've been looking at places, but everything's overpriced.
Because Salt Lake is really nice. It's green.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think it's fairly high elevation, so it doesn't get as miserably hot as a lot of places.
Right.
And the people are nice. Mormons are, for the most
Yeah.
part, really nice people.
Yeah, and we've had our office there for years, and I'm gonna be over there in October. I'm in Raleigh also, meeting with Mark and the gang. Then I'm gonna go to Salt Lake for about a week in Raleigh, a week there. And the problem of buying there is just like I said, it's the pricing. In other words, I look at the pricing, I go, this doesn't make any sense at all. And it's part of the problem is California. The Californians are selling their homes and moving to Salt Lake. And what do, they drive the prices of homes up.
Yeah.
And I'm going like, you got to be kidding me. And there are better locations, actually Texas, but we just don't like Texas. Sorry, Texas. Weather's bad. People are odd, between both of it. Why would you go to Texas? So
well,
Texas is
California, when people move out here to become a success, then once they've made their money, then they want to take it someplace where it might be a little bit, more affordable or just less of a rat race.
Right. Well, also it goes down to what I was talking about, a couple things. I noticed that Steve joined us, but not Jatovs. I can't argue with him.
Yeah, I'm having some technical issues. I'm going to try to come back in tomorrow.
When you get your studio, when you get your studio set up, then that'll be better. As a matter of fact, that's part of the reason I'm not doing any shows between now. I'll show up to shows, but I'm not going to do any shows because to work all the things on StreamYard and stuff, it's just too tough when you're on the road. In other words, what I call administrative controls. But if you take over economics, I talked to Mark, he'll do the directing. And so this way you'll have somebody doing the administrative controls. So you don't have to do both.
So we'll get offline. So I'd love to be the part-time host of economics.
Yeah. If you're going to be the host, also David wants a topic every week. Okay. So you gotta shoot the gang the topic that you're going to be discussing. Mark will send everything out and do the setup work.
Will it be start on Monday? My hosting the show on Monday, right?
It's always Monday. At 11 o'clock Eastern. It's been that way for. Yeah. And the other guest who's been showing up is Jeff Brown. He's the former dean of the University of Illinois School of Business. And he's also currently a trustee at TI Craft, and he's also on the one of the Social Security trustee boards or something like that. So he'll be joining quite often when he can as well. But like I said, the key thing is the topic. And I usually don't send the topic out till like Sunday for the Monday show because, Steve, the stock topics change. In other words, what's the hot topic of the week? And
Some good.
yeah, and it's hard to find out what the topic is of the week, and it does change. Now they do like, yeah.
Yeah, today my camera wouldn't work on the computer, so I'm gonna take a break and fix it by tomorrow. But I'll be back tomorrow morning. But yeah, I'm excited, guys. I'm back. I'm looking forward to. I'm excited about.
And Fox is going to take over our channels, which is on Roku. They're not going to take over all our channels because we have 4 contracts with Roku to run Pod TV Live, which is broadcasting on. We have a sports channel, a tech channel, and a travel channel. Okay, so we've got 4 channels right now on Roku, and Fox is going to take over Roku, at least assuming the purchase goes through, and then all of a sudden we're going to be branded as Fox. Now, here's what it might mean politically. We tend to lean left. Last time I looked, Fox leans right. And when you're dealing with the powers that be upstairs, because we had this problem with IBM. And by the way, IBM's stock collapsed. Didn't surprise me because I've talked to a lot of people at IBM, and I'm just going, you guys are heads up your rear, so it doesn't surprise me. Talking to people at Fox, I don't know how long we're going to stay on Fox. In other words,
so I keep saying I got to hook Lance up with you, so you can get Lance can have his own show because he's wildly conservative. He drinks all the Kool-Aid.
He drinks all the Kool-Aid. Well, the thing is, I don't know much about Fox because, like I said, I don't watch them, except my business partner, Max, who's in Salt Lake, does. Every time I go there, I'll actually see it. Fox. They don't even show here in Spain. In other words, Fox? Spain? No, they're not even on there. I see BBC, CNN. They're here. Sky is here. The majors, ABC, NBC, and CBS, not in Europe. Forget it. So I don't know much about what they're doing, so I can only pick up what I read about them. And I heard they had one liberal, and apparently she's leaving or something like that. So I was going.
They have a show called The Five, where they have 5 people talking with each other. They generally have a token liberal. Often it's a woman named Jessica Tarlov who is very well informed, and they'll all yell at her. She'll yell back.
Yeah, well, like I said, it'll be interesting because we're driven by a lot of people that have advanced education degrees. I was going through our database that are on the show, and Fox is delivered by a bunch of high school educated people. I mean, it's just like
we'll see. They might find us refreshing.
Well, here, but here's what happens though. This was our thing because we start off as IBM TV because we had a 2-year contract with IBM, and what happens is that the powers that be that are way up there don't know what's going on because remember the distribution is huge, and it takes them a while. It took IBM 2 years to figure out that we had a URL called IBM TV, and I think it was a mistake on their part. They let the URL out, so we bought it. And then they went to WIPO, the World Intellectual Trade Organization, and ripped out the URL from us. Just went like this, and took it. Okay, so, and I'm just going, you're kidding me. They can do that? I didn't know they could do that. But then you find out that IBM and WIPO are pretty closely related. No, we're just like, we're going to win the case at the World Trade Organization because we own the World Trade Organization. And so I'm going like, I argued, but we kind of went. And so that's what happened to IBM. And so we became Pod TV, and we've been that way for years. Okay, now we're going to Fox. Okay, this is interesting. It'll take them a while before they realize our programming and a lot of our people lean not toward the right. I'm not going to say they're left, but they're not drinking all the Kool-Aid. Okay. And now the question is, what are they going to do? In other words, like Mr. Wonderful, are they going to leave us alone? They might. Are they going to integrate us with some of their other programming? They might. Or will they just rip our contract up and throw it in the trash can? They might. I don't know.
We
You
should
know?
talk about some news here where
Oh, we have news. Good.
there's a saying that Americans learn geography from war. Mark Twain, it's attributed to Mark Twain, but it was really a guy named Ambrose Bierce. So anyway, we're about to learn where the Red Sea is over in the Mediterranean because the Houthis are bombing the Red Sea right now.
I know. I found that to be pretty exciting. I'm going, okay.
But Nick,
So
you mean
here,
that
here
our
come the
shows will be on
Houthis.
Fox? Will our shows be on Fox News then, or on Roku channels on
No,
Fox?
no, it'll be on Fox. It'll be on the Fox network. It's not going to be Fox News because Fox News is just another channel that they have. We're just going to be part of the Fox network that has a lot of shows. They have Fox News, they have Fox News Nation, they have Fox this, Fox that. So we're just going to be part of the Fox network.
Well,
When Roku.
I'm gonna get my technical issues fixed up, so I'm ready for Monday. So I'm gonna try to move to a new machine so I can get my camera working. But it's a good. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, and
Okay.
have a great day. Stay warm.
You too.
All right, Steve. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And you're talking about the Houthis because I did pick that up because obviously that hit the BBC. Right. So basically, it seems to me that the Houthis want some action. They call it some action. In other words,
So oil back up over $100 a barrel, or maybe it popped up and it's back to, anyway, it's in the 90s. Gas, U.S. national average. This is day number 4 of it being back up over $4 a gallon. Now it's $4.09. Trump is at rallies saying that he's beaten inflation and that this is America's golden age, saying that the ballroom, the new ballroom, isn't just a ballroom, that it's a security bunker where they're going to have a drone station on the roof of the ballroom. So it's worth that $1 billion. I would, I mean, I've been disgusted with Trump as a good liberal for 10 years now, but I'm saying that there's some indication that people who are less liberal than I am are a little disgusted at this point.
yeah, but the thing is, he has a solid 40% approval rating.
So I always look at the 40% this way. 20% are people who support the president regardless. They're not super political people, but they believe in America, and that includes believing in the president. And then the other 20% are just in the tank for Trump lunatics. He can do whatever the heck he wants. People have recently been comparing, because he declared he's been in the public eye now for 10 years politically, and they're comparing how he looked and talked 10 years ago to now, and the comparisons are not good.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he faces what I call weak opposition from the liberal left. In other words, he would have a harder time if the Democrats would actually bring somebody forward who could actually talk eloquently and destroy his arguments, but they don't have anybody.
So with the Dems, you kind of have to wait for new charismatic people to bubble up. Obama came out of nowhere. Now we're looking at Ossoff, because Ossoff was really good in the Senate hearings, trying to pin down Pete Hegseth about, they get $1 trillion a year, which is more for defense, more than the next 6 or 7 countries combined. They want another $500 billion. And I looked it up. They want 1.5 trillion. That's enough to buy the entire city of Houston, every building, house, factory, and still have $600 billion left. It's an insane amount of money, more than the next 18 countries combined spend on defense.
Yeah, and the thing is, the sad part is that we spend that on interest on the debt right now, about $1 trillion. So the thing is, the U.S. Can manufacture money, and they're going to manufacture it for the defense. But let's say Trump versus who is the real question. And right now, it's going to be Trump versus Trump in 2028. In other words, 2026, excuse me, on the midterm. In other words, as we head toward November, remember, we're short-sighted. So
Yeah.
October will determine November.
Right, right.
Because
They
people
say
don't
that
remember
half of voters only start paying attention 3 weeks before an election.
Correct. Okay, right. So the thing is, when is the midterms going to be determined? October. And the real question will be, where's this war at? Where's inflation at? Where's their pocketbook at? Where's the economy at? That's going to be all the things that factor into that. But when it comes to like leadership from the Democrats, I see people that lean far left that apparently are taking the stage. The people that are well spoken are stuck in the background. Now, they might be waiting their turn because there's some good ones out there. I mean, I listened to some of them. I'm going, this guy's pretty good. This lady's pretty good, and they may be sitting there holding back before they rear their ugly head, because they realize if you rear your ugly head for the election too soon, you're going to be subject to being attacked tremendously.
That's right. I mean, that's what helped Obama. Obama had only been a senator for like 2 years.
Yeah, in other words, you're not exposed. You don't have enough exposure to have people say you should have done this, you should have done that. So right now,
that's what sank Hillary in 2016. She had been in the public eye because she was married to Bill Clinton before.
Yeah, she had too much
30 years of history.
Yeah, too much of a history. And so what happens is somebody's gonna they look you over like a bad piece of meat, and then they attack you like you're crazy. And so the real problem with the politicians, I think, and I'm wondering if they're doing it, the ones that are what I call the real candidates that have a real chance of success, you haven't heard of yet, because they're not going to rear their head for 2028 until well into 2027. And then the thing is, they're going to have to surface, otherwise they're going to have no chance.
So we should talk about communism, because the Republicans, we have to talk about it, because the Republicans are desperate. This looks like it's going to be a wipeout for them in the midterms unless they can screw with the elections. And they're having trouble getting the SAVE Act passed because it's such a bullshit bill that even Republicans don't want to support it. Now, Trump has a friendly postmaster general. In 2020, leading up to the elections and during COVID, I would buy stuff and it would either take months to arrive or it would arrive beaten to shit. And I'm starting to see crazy behavior from the USPS where mail goes on wild trips across Trump may try using the mail to screw with vote by. But anyway, among the desperate tactics are the Republicans are saying, if you vote for Democrats, you are voting for communism.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, communism to a certain extent works in certain areas.
Except that nobody in America is a freaking communist. The Heritage.
I understand.
So, let me make my case. The Heritage Foundation.
Oh, the Heritage Foundation.
All right.
Oh my Lord.
They are a super conservative organization. They're the people behind Project 2025. They're the people who gave Trump all his objectives to tear up the Department of Ed and a bunch of other stuff. But they also do two good things. One is they have a voter fraud database, which proves that there's almost no voter fraud. And they have a thing called the Index of Economic Freedom, where each year they issue a ranking of the countries of the world according to how capitalistic they are. And the U.S. is not turning communist. The U.S. remains the most capitalistic, mega large country in the world. Among countries with populations more than 80 million, there aren't that many of them, the U.S. remains the most capitalistic country. And we're not even drifting in a more socialist direction. We're pretty much holding steady.
Yeah. The Heritage Foundation today, they had some clown on attacking the American Bar Association, which I found to be obnoxious, because the American Bar Association is basically a voluntary bar, where a lot of bars are mandatory bars, and they do regulate all the schools' admissions in the United States. And they're actually a very, very good group. But this person didn't like them. And so the thing is, they want to basically dismantle the American Bar Association. So who wanted to dismantle it? The bloody Heritage Foundation. Are you kidding me? you know? And the thing is, they're basically wrong. Now, part of it is the American Bar Association isn't going to bend for the Heritage Group or Donald Trump or frankly anybody. So they still have in their policy DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And if you look at DEI on its surface, there's nothing wrong with it. In other words, having a group to make sure that you're diverse. In other words, you bring in people from all culture. Equity. Equity is important. It's important to the American Foundation. This is where the Heritage Group is wrong. And they need to be told this, because the thing is, equitable distribution is a long-standing legal concept. Okay, and inclusion. Okay, let's say that you're against DEI. That means you're against inclusion. You want to be exclusive. So the Heritage Group, who's against this, is against American principles. And they need to hear that, because the thing is, this clown who got on LinkedIn, which is where we're broadcasting, was basically attacking the ABA, the American Bar Association, who's actually stands for America, as opposed to the Heritage Group doesn't. Notice it's not even their name.
Well, so the Heritage Foundation,
I was a member of the ABA, so to me this was a personal attack on liberty and justice. The Heritage Foundation.
The Heritage Foundation is a bunch of different people of varying degrees of craziness, but at base, they want a highly Christian. They want Christian government, and they want to shut down all unnecessary government. And they think a lot of stuff's unnecessary: Social Security, Medicaid, all this stuff. There's one lunatic at the Heritage Foundation who's been quoted as saying that only reproductive sex should be allowed. That is, if there's not a chance that somebody's going to get pregnant out of it, then you shouldn't be allowed to have it. And that includes masturbation. Not everybody at the Heritage Foundation thinks that jerking off should be illegal, but at least one person there does.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when you look at the names, the Heritage Foundation, my question is, whose heritage are we talking about? All right. In other words, the thing is, they're making up what heritage they think they are. We talk about the American Bar Association. The American Bar Association is actually a very strong and very good group. In other words, it believes in justice for all. It doesn't believe in justice for some, which is what the Heritage Foundation apparently believes in. It doesn't believe in one type of person. Okay, that's the reason they believe in diversity, because America is founded on diversity. It's founded on diversity. Heritage Foundation doesn't get that. They think it's founded on one group, and I don't even know what group it is, because I don't think they really have heritage. Certainly not my heritage. That's for sure. So then we look at equity. Equity is a big legal principle. It's been a legal principle for years. They're against equity. They don't like people that are equal. And I think it's even the Constitution, or maybe the Declaration of Independence, right? All men are created equal. Didn't they say all men are created equal? Is the Heritage Group, are you against all men being created equal? You don't think they're equal or not? So what the problem with the Heritage Group and that speaker, he had no one opposing him. He just gets up there and he does his rant. Let a lawyer come in. Let a good lawyer come in. They will rip him, and he was a lawyer, by the way, but we'll rip him one side or the other. Anybody in the American Bar Association.
Well, here's what happened. We elected a black guy or a half black guy as president, and the U.S. is 56% white and will become minority white within the next 15 or 20 years. And this caused among people of the stripe where they get worried when non-whites have increasing influence. Obama's election was this because, from a liberal point of view, it's because whites have a ton of privilege and they don't want to give up that privilege.
I don't know. Have you been to Texas, in the rural parts of Texas?
I mean, so
a lot of these people are not the
white supremacy is not about whites being better than non-whites. White supremacy is that regardless of whether we're better or not as whites, we want to hold on to the power.
And then come back and talk to me. Go to any international chess tournament, anyone. and then go tell me how superior the white people are. They're
Well,
not.
okay, so,
Okay, I mean, if
like
you look
like
at
Musk,
just,
who's gone crazy.
they're
you know,
dominated
like-
by
so
Indians,
Musk is-
Chinese,
all right,
a whole
hold on.
variety of
So
different people.
Musk comes from a racist background. His
Well,
dad is a virulent
duh.
racist, and Musk is always on Twitter. The thing he bought, putting out white propaganda, including that we can't let that you can't cede control of the world to non-whites. That you got to keep whites in charge.
You know, Musk is only
wait,
done.
I got one. Let me make my point. The point is that if you're fighting that battle has never been a real battle because the world has never been anywhere near majority white, and currently the world is between 8 and 10% white. So the idea that you have to hold the fort for whiteness is a battle that was lost infinity ago. It's freaking ridiculous.
Let me ask you a question, Rick. If you and Elon Musk sat down and took IQ test, he took it, the same test, who's going to have a better score, you or Elon Musk?
I would.
And you're confident that you would beat you're confident you would beat Elon Musk in an IQ test. Is that correct,
Look,
Counselor?
so I wagered my toes. I said that they had me drop in on Inside Edition because Trump was bragging about his IQ, and I said I'm so confident that I would beat Trump at an IQ test that if he beat me somehow, you can cut off my pinky toe. And that
Right.
the Inside Edition thought I was too gross.
Okay.
They didn't
Okay.
like that.
I will tell you this. I'll tell you this. If Elon Musk and I both played a chess game, he would lose all the time. We're not even close.
So I'm confident enough that if we each
Very
took an IQ test, if I lost, I would say you can take my right pinky toe.
Yeah, but his partner Peter Thiel, I would not be confident in because his partner Peter Thiel is a national master. He's a very strong chess player. So if I was to play Peter Thiel, it would be like even. If I play an Elon Musk, it wouldn't even be close. And by the way, you know what Elon Musk's response to chess players were? I hate chess players.
Yeah.
Of course he hates them because he sucks.
Thiel is a tech supremacist. He
Who is?
believes that tech
I know.
billionaires should really be in charge of the world, and everybody else can, go pound sand.
I know. Peter Thiel thinks he knows everything. Now, he's also a lawyer. He went to Stanford, got his law degree. But he did not really excel in law and chess. Here's what happens. He reaches a level, and I understand this. I've been down this road before, right? He reaches a level, and he was a national master. To get to that next level, grandmaster, is like a quantum leap, okay? And so he got that far, but he just could not put the ball in the end
because
zone.
Peter Thiel's like,
Peter Thiel
I
can't.
could spend 1,000, 1,500 hours of work to get to grandmaster, or I could spend those same hours on tech deals and make another $12 billion.
Exactly. So what he did was correct, is to drop chess and go into tech. And by the way, who else did that was Alan Trefler. He was a chess master. He actually won the World Open. He dropped chess and went into tech and became a multi-billionaire. So the thing is, they what I call figured it out. It was the dead end rainbow. And he tried to also make it in law, but see the problem in law, it's very political. And so the thing is, and Peter Thiel was very rigid, so it didn't work out for him. So he ended up in the right place where he is today.
The same thing.
Actually, I played Peter Thiel Blitz game on chess.com about a year and a half ago, and it was an even game, and I was just making my moves, and then all of a sudden I see that he is a strong player, and I started to look at whom I'm playing with, and I've discovered that I'm playing Peter Thiel. So obviously I started to play more carefully and so on. But at the end of the day, I was running short of time, and eventually I lost. And what's interesting is that he banned me as a possible partner for future games.
Oh, he didn't want to play anymore. Yeah.
He didn't want to
I didn't know
play
that Peter
anymore.
Thiel was active playing. Does he play online then still?
Yeah, I saw him online last time a few months ago, maybe before he moved to Argentina.
Oh, really? Okay.
Maybe
You had
he's
to-
still playing. I'm not following him, but maybe he's still playing online. Why not?
Really? Okay. Well,
Well, apparently he's got a FIDE rating of 2199. I don't know if that's a good one or a peak USOF rating of 2342. So that's where Peter Thiel is right now. So
yeah.
he was rated as a candidate master in the United States and played competitively, participating in 10 FIDE rated games in 2003. So this does
Yeah.
look
So, yeah.
My rating on chess.com is 2300, so I think I could possibly play an even games.
Yeah, but there's no question he's a good player. Where Elon
He's
Musk isn't even a player. And if you ever saw the game Bill Gates versus Magnus Carlsen, it's on the internet. It's hilarious. Magnus beat him in like 90 seconds. Bill Gates sucks. I thought he was. I thought.
Yeah,
'cause
but Bill
remember-
Gates used his time to become worth like what?
I know that. I'm not disagreeing with you. His time was better spent something else. But there was rumors that he was actually a pretty good player. But when you watch the game, you realize he's not. He's really
not that great and everything.
I want to go back to the heat for a second. 118 degrees in Phoenix predicted, but it'll feel like 120. And so get the hell out of the heat. Also, don't fly into Phoenix in the summertime. If you try to land when it's 118 degrees, then your plane is going to need like to be hit the ground faster because the air is fluffier. It has a harder time holding up the plane. You're going to be thrown all around. It's a terrible time.
You get inversions. I used to fly into Sky Harbor all the time, and I hated it because you get all these inversions. In some cases, you'll get them in Salt Lake as well.
Well, the hottest city right now is Riverside, California, not that far from you, Rick. It's
Right.
reaching 102 today, according to live temperature rankings.
Yeah, we're going to hit 108. And I'm already all messed up because of the heat, because old guys, 4 out of 5 guys on this panel are old guys. Sasha's safe. He's up in Canada where it's not.
Sasha's safe. Sasha's smart. Sasha moved to Canada around the U.S. When I grew up in Florida, so the thing is, Canada was like no one would live there. It's a bunch of igloos, okay? But given the change in climate, it's actually a better place probably than Florida to live because you don't have this radical heat that I don't think is going to go away. Because even though the conversation about climate change may go away currently, it doesn't mean that climate change go away. It's just like the anti-vaxxers, okay? The vaccinations may go away, but it doesn't mean the bugs are going to go away. In other words, these things will still come out and kill you, whether you're an anti-vaxxer or not. So I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, let's talk about some news from Sasha's area of expertise, which is they're having a national elections in Israel next week. Mm-hmm. And Netanyahu, for the first time, there are polls out there that indicate he's got a strong chance of losing, which would totally shake up frickin' Israel. Sasha?
But it's not presidential election like in the United States when you have a Democrat and you have the Republican and one wins, one loses. It's completely different situation in Israel. You have so many different parties or so on, and nobody will ever get 51% in Israel. It's impossible, just mathematically speaking. However, if Netanyahu will get some reasonable count, let's see 35, 36%, for example, and he will be able to form coalition, which he normally always does, then he will be again next Prime Minister of Israel.
So what you're saying is he can lose and still win because there are 200.
But you don't call it losing. If he's first with 35 and the next one is 28 and then somebody 26 and 24, 23 and so on, you don't call it losing. No, far from it. With 36%, even if he will be second, let's say somebody else will get 38% and he will have 36%, he still can form a coalition and lead the next government. So
I'm reading that Israel has 200 political parties and 10 political factions. So what happens in these elections is you see the elections and everybody gets a certain percentage, and then the leaders run around and try to form coalitions. And Netanyahu, for years and years, has formed a far-right coalition. He gets all the super right-wing, and they have enough of a percentage to get him over 50%.
Oh, and also I'm going to beat up your friend Donald Trump. He made a tactical error the other day. He said every time Iran bombs a ship in the Strait of Hormuz, he's going to bomb one place in Iran. He shouldn't have said that. Here's what he should have said. Every time they bomb one ship in the Strait of Hormuz, we're going to bomb 10 places in Iran. That's what he should have said. In other words, this showed a very weak leader. I fell out of my chair and said, dude, you can't be this weak with the Iranians. You have to be strong with them. And so the thing is, if they bomb one ship, you bomb 10 bridges. So they bomb another ship, you bomb 10 ports. I mean, you have to hit them hard, because otherwise they're not going to listen to you. One-on-one, they'll do that all day. So I think Donald Trump has really bad.
Like U.S. has unlimited weapons.
We do. We're going to spend another $1 trillion.
Doubt it. The U.S. is exhausting their stockpile. I'm not saying
really quick though.
It's not zero, but it's definitely getting depleted. There is no other way. I mean, if you have 10,000 bombs and you use 5,000 to bomb something, so that means you're out of 5,000, you have only 5,000 left. But furthermore, there is some strange situation. I was watching the performance of Mr. Hexet in Senate. So he's saying that the war so far cost Americans $37.5 billion. At the same time, he is asking for additional $500 billion. So with the $1 trillion was already given to them, and another $500 billion he is asking, and yet they spent on the war only 37.5. I don't understand the math. Where the money is coming? Why this money is coming? To do what? Is it a money laundering machine? What exactly is that?
Yes, it is a money laundering machine. They've already said that they're sitting on $76 billion that they haven't even touched. And they asked him if he was going to spend that, and he said, well, it hadn't been allocated, or it hadn't been whatever. So it's basically they're stealing money hand over fist. There were a couple of things you guys touched on. I was, focused on doing some emails and stuff from the Heritage Foundation, which is, it's not just wanting one group. It's a focus on white Christian nationalism, white supremacy, and using religion as a cover. That's what the Heritage Foundation is about. But then getting back to this, Nick, your idea of hey, we'll just bomb more, it hasn't worked so far, and it's not going to work even dropping more and committing war crimes, which you just literally suggested, which is the same thing that Trump suggested, committing war crimes. So that's not going to change. Right now, they're hitting the other strait. They've hit people in the Red Sea now. So now if you close off both straits, both exits, we're in a problem. The problem is that Trump had no idea of what he was doing. He thought that he would be able to do what he did in Venezuela. Venezuela, again, the regime hadn't changed in Venezuela. It hasn't. The only thing you took out was Maduro. Everything else is still there.
His VP is now in charge. It would be like kidnapping Trump, and Vance is now in charge.
And they're still doing the same things. It's just that you don't have a name brand. Maduro was the name brand of that machine. And now you take out the name brand, so people think, oh, it's changed. No, it hadn't really changed that much. Nothing. They're just answering, they're giving Trump money now, and that's it. So he thought he could do the same thing in Iran, but that's not how the world works.
Something else. When you're discussing to continue the attacks against Iran, you have to appreciate the fact that Americans are losing now their soldiers, killed people, 3 of them at least, and hundreds of wounded. And they don't even tell the truth. First of all, the numbers. Second of all, the seriousness of this wounded people. Some of them are there normally there, so most of them have concussions. But when you have concussions from the drone attacks or ballistic attacks, there are very different concussions than what people are dealing with in everyday life. These concussions cannot be light concussions, as they say. No, they are rather serious concussions. And people are, okay, they were being flown to Germany for treatments, and yet a lot of veterans are confirming that they're not getting the proper treatment. They're not getting post-trauma rehabilitation services and so on. They're very, very angry. And I think that American people, whom basically their close friends, relatives, they are serving in the army. And when they see these people are either killed or suffering very serious injuries, they will not get happy about that. And they will not sacrifice and continue to do all the Trump's and Hexen.
So one of the most common injuries in modern war is brain damage, concussions. And Trump's administration has a history of downplaying that stuff, saying, yeah, it was just a minor concussion. And no, if you get your head knocked to hell by a nearby bomb impact, you may need months and years of rehabilitation to get your brain back in some kind of working order. One thing, I made a mistake. The Israeli elections are not until the end of October. I don't know where. Here's another fun thing. So since we attacked and kidnapped Maduro, the U.S. has sold $13 billion worth of oil, of Venezuelan oil. Nobody knows where that money is. They only know the U.S. kicked $300 million. 2.5% of that money back to Venezuela. Nobody knows where the other 13 billion went, even though Venezuela suffered $37 billion worth of damage in these recent earthquakes, and they could really use the 13 billion to rebuild, but that money's missing.
Well, it's the same thing going on in Venezuela. Venezuela has not changed. The only thing that changed in Venezuela is the fact that the name of Maduro is gone. And then
what else has changed is we're selling the oil supposedly on behalf. Trump is selling the oil on behalf of Venezuela, but nobody knows except for 300 million of it. Nobody knows where the other 25.7 billion is, and it's probably not in Venezuela.
Oh no, it's not. But also, again, right now, what we're dealing with is a very corrupt administration. And this administration remember how, and we're right around the corner from what, 9/11? Right? Mm-hmm. Right around the corner from it. What do we always say? Never forget. Where did the planes originate in
18 out of 19 of the hijackers were Saudi.
Yep. Guess what we just did?
We're going to
give them the ability to make an atomic bomb. That's smart, right?
So again, we have, and the reason we gave them a nuke is the fact that Donald Trump is making a ton of money off of them.
Yeah, because Trump loves Saudi because people from Saudi Arabia overpay for Trump properties. Saudi has a lot of money to throw around.
They were trying
to get political influence. So for years and decades, they have overpaid for Trump buildings, for Trump apartments in Trump buildings, to help him build Trump buildings in Saudi. So he loves them. They are a money faucet for him. So if they want to enrich uranium, which is you separate the non-exploding uranium from the exploding uranium, and then you collect the exploding uranium, and you can do stuff with it. You can run a nuclear reactor, or you can make it even more explodey and maybe make a bomb.
Okay, I have a question for the panel. Why does Saudi Arabia need enriched uranium for what they call energy purposes?
You mean because they have all the oil in the world, they can just
and they have all the oil in the world, and they have plenty of land to put solar farms. So riddle me this, Batman. Why do they need to have enriched uranium?
Because they are financial buddies with the Trump family.
Well, see, that's not a good answer, Rick.
We're in the middle of a nuclear arms race. That's your answer.
Middle of a nuclear arms race?
Yeah, first.
So,
with who? What are you talking about?
Because of our own actions, other countries are now looking at nuclear.
Yeah, okay. But remember, the reason why, Jacoby, was they needed to enrich uranium for energy purposes. What is it that Saudi Arabia desperately needs energy purpose when they have more oil than they can possibly use? They have more places where they could put solar farms they could possibly use. So how could somebody tell me that they need it for energy purposes? Talk to me.
Again, we're in the middle of a nuclear arms race, so therefore they don't need it for your energy purposes. So you start off with
so what you're saying is they don't need it for energy purposes. Is there anybody on the panel here believes that they need it for energy purposes?
No.
Anybody? Is there anybody listening that believes it for energy purposes? Anybody?
No.
So the thing is, what they said was what? A complete lie. Am I missing something?
No,
They're supposed to be stupid enough to believe that? I mean, how dumb do they think people are?
They believe MAGA will say anything to defend Trump.
Well,
so
then say something smart.
This deal, it doesn't matter about, I mean, he said some dumb stuff and they repeated it. And so this deal was about Trump and his family making money because they got paid off of this. So it doesn't matter that it's a dumb deal, and we know that it's a dumb deal, and everybody knows that it's a dumb deal. The point is, MAGA will defend it. He has a dedicated base that will parrot, repeat the whole. That's why I said the whole never forget from 9/11. It doesn't matter because Trump got paid.
Hey, look, I don't really care. I don't have any skin in the game, but my question is this. Answer me the question. What does Saudi Arabia need this for energy for? Just answer it.
They don't.
Some intelligent answer. Anybody. And it doesn't have to be anybody in the panel.
No, Saudi is a bunch of, so here's one strategy that Saudi is run by wildly rich royal families, and the rest of the population not so rich, kind of poor, kind of miserable conditions. And the Saudi family has traditionally deflected anger at them into anger at the rest of the world. And so,
okay. I got all that. Okay, but isn't it the media's job, and Mark's a media person, to call into question incredible stupidity? And when somebody puts a statement,
Nick, part of the
a
problem
statement
is
like that in front of me, well, they need it for energy purposes. It's like,
but Nick,
you're sitting on
part of the
tons
problem
oil and
is
tons of sand for solar, and you need it for energy purposes.
But Nick,
please don't sell me that bill of goods. Sell me something else.
But Nick,
sell me that it's more cost effective, that they want to get away from oil. Sell me something, but don't sell me this.
Part of the problem is that
I can't buy garbage. I'm not good at it.
But Nick, part of the problem is that one of the things that Trump is a master at is deflecting. And I think that even Jacoby has talked about that, because I was reading an article yesterday about how he is oftentimes throwing questions back at people rhetorically as a way to deflect, because he doesn't want to answer the questions. And he also likes to think that he's in charge, and he also likes to do this whole principle of like women being subservient. So like he really goes after women reporters really actively.
But I don't really care about this guy. I really don't care. Okay, what I care about is the statement that was made by the U.S. government and the Saudi government, and the answer to a very simple question. Riddle me this, Batman. what is it that Saudi Arabia needs for energy purposes? Are they starving to death? Do they not have enough oil?
Again,
Are they
there is-
starving? I just
There is
want
no
a
answer.
decent answer, and nobody's giving me a decent answer yet. So if they're not
Because
giving me a
there isn't
decent
one.
answer, then what they're selling me is a bunch of garbage. And I
You're
obviously
right.
don't
But
like
they're
garbage.
but the point is not to sell you. If they can get their crowd behind it, just something stupid.
Well,
their
well,
crowd.
good,
can get
good.
behind.
Then have the crowd tell me the answer to
Well,
this
let
question.
Sasha say. Sasha knows the Mideast.
If you remember Trump's first trip overseas when he first became president in 2017, where it was in Saudi Arabia. When he became president in 2025, where was his first foreign trip? To Saudi Arabia. Trump is gravitating to where the money is. If he is there where the money is, he'll find some kind of deal. If it's not energy, it's going to be real estate. It's not real estate, it's going to be something else. So he'll always find something where he himself and his family will enrich themselves. That's why Saudi Arabia is number one country on a Trump's list. Then goes some maybe Germany, France, or some other secondary powers, little countries, stubborn idiots. But Saudi Arabia is number one. So he is centering all politics of the United States into something where he himself enrich his family and his friends. That's simple. It's why are you looking for deep answers that is so brilliant that you have to explain and you have to. That's a simple explanation.
Then I can understand that,
To enrich
Sasha.
themselves. That's all.
Then why don't you just say that it benefits Americans' pocketbooks by making this deal? And the American
So, all right,
pocketbooks-
so
What are you talking? What
No.
American pocketbooks? America, half 50% of American population are historically poor. They're much poorer than people in Europe. Much poorer people in Europe.
Okay, you know the thing is that's not my problem, but my problem is that we have to go.
All right, one last thing before
Yeah,
we go. Because
better
Sasha
for us
talked
to
about
go,
the
because
first
we
thing.
don't want to talk anymore about this con man.
Well, no, one more thing. Sasha talked about the first places that Trump went when he became president. Both times he goes to Saudi. The last thing that Saudi did the last time Trump left the presidency is they gave his son-in-law $2 billion to invest, even though the son-in-law had zero experience in investing. And for investing the $2 billion for Saudi, Trump's son-in-law gets paid at least $25 million a year.
Got it. Okay, all right, that's good enough. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.